What is up, everybody? Welcome to DFS by the Numbers. These are my Draftkings MMA picks for UFC 293. We got Israel Adesanya going against Sean Strickland.
I need all the wins, yeah. Harder than all that is. You better move, you might get knocked out. Knocked out. You better move, you might get knocked out. Knocked out. You better move, you might get knocked out. Knocked out.
And we are back breaking down some DraftKings for UFC 293. This week we have a pay-per-view card and a solid pay-per-view card. I'd say it's probably one of the weaker pay-per-view cards of the year, but looking forward to it nonetheless. Looking forward to making some money on DraftKings as well. Before we get into the picks, if you guys can please do me a favor, please leave a like on the video. Subscribe to the channel if you have not already. A lot more content's going to be posted throughout the week. Going live Friday for some final thoughts, and then going live with the guys on Saturday for some best bets. So make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out on all of that. Check out Underdog Fantasy. Use that promo code DFSBTN for a 100% deposit bonus up to $100. We hit the play of the week last week with Volkan Oezdemir getting the finish, and we'll see if we can hit the best play this week here. But yeah, with all that out of the way, I say we get right into it. And we're going to start with the fight doesn't go to decision lines here. We have a lot of fights that are favored to finish inside the distance, and we have a lot of fights that are favored heavily to finish inside the distance. We'll start right up top with Justin Tafa going against Austin Lane, minus 600 for the fight to finish inside the distance. This is a fight that is heavily favored to finish even under 1.5 rounds, and it's even favored to finish in the first round. It's like minus 150 for the fight to finish in the very first round. So right off the bat, this is a very good fight to target. You got Justin Tafa 9,000, Austin Lane 7,200. I'm personally more on the Justin Tafa side. I think he does touch the chin of Austin Lane and puts him out in the first round, but this is a heavyweight fight. At the end of the day, you can't completely count out Austin Lane here. So I like Tafa to get the finish, but Austin Lane at 7,200 is not the worst pump play in the world this week. Then we got Carlos Ulberg going against Da Un Jung. Got Carlos Ulberg 7,200, Da Un Jung 7,000. The fight is minus 325 here to end inside the distance, about to pick him to end under 1.5 rounds. And Ulberg, he's been finishing fights lately. He's been finishing fights in the very first round, and I have a feeling this one probably comes early as well. I just don't really see where Da Un Jung poses many problems here for Carlos Ulberg, outside of if he comes in here with a wrestling game plan potentially, but even then, it's just not something we've seen a lot from Da Un Jung outside of that William Knight fight. So I'm more so on the Carlos Ulberg side here at 9,200, and not going to be touching a ton of Da Un Jung, but if Jung does wrestle, maybe he can have some success. It's just I'm not able to count on him to do that really. So it's pretty much Ulberg or pass for me. Next, we have a fight that I think is a very, very good fight to target. We have Anton Turkalj going against Pedro. Tyson Pedro here. We have the fight doesn't go is sitting at minus 250, and this is a fight priced right there, 8,200 for Turkalj. We have 8,000 for Tyson Pedro, and I feel like both guys have a path to victory to score very well. So Tyson Pedro, 9 wins, the majority of those coming in the very first round, and actually have concerns if this fight does reach the second round for Tyson Pedro. So if you're getting Pedro at 8,000, you're probably expecting a first round finish there, and that's obviously going to score very well, right? On the Turkalj side, he's a little bit more expensive at 8,200. I think he'll be a little bit more popular as well. But with Turkalj, if this fight does get extended, it heavily favors him. This is a guy that's shown he can go 15 hard minutes. This is a guy that's shown he can wrestle for 15 hard minutes. This guy's landing 7 takedowns per 15 minutes. So I think it's a very, very good fight to target. Pedro for the first round upside, and then Turkalj for the wrestling upside, potential late finish upside as well from him. And then we have another good fight to target, another heavyweight fight. We have Alexander Volkov going against Tai Tuivasa, minus 250 for the fight doesn't go. And yeah, somebody probably gets served here. Somebody probably gets knocked out here. I'm not in love with the price tag of Volkov at 8,800. I mean, I like the volume, the size of Volkov. I think he has some finishing upside as well. But this price tag on Tai Tuivasa is very intriguing at only 7,400. He's going to be fighting at home here. And this is a guy in Tai Tuivasa who's finished 14 out of his 15 wins by knockout. So I think I'd rather, lean towards the Tuivasa side just from a price perspective. He's so much cheaper, and this is a card where not a ton of underdogs are sticking out. All right, let's get into the core plays. On up top, we got Carlos Ulberg. He's 9,200. We talked about him a little bit. I'm not really impressed with Da Un Jung whatsoever, and I'm not really sure, where Da Un Jung poses many problems in this matchup outside of, like I said, him potentially coming here with a wrestling game plan, which would kind of surprise me because it's not really something he's shown to do. Like I said, outside of the William Knight fight, which was a one-time thing where he got like 8 takedowns in the entire fight. On the feet, I really don't think it's close. I like the striking of Olberg, the power of Olberg. I think he's going to give Jung a lot of problems. I think Jung has to close the distance and wrestle, and if not, I think Jung probably gets knocked out, and probably in the first round as well. So I like Carlos Olberg here. I think Olberg probably finishes him in the first round as well. Next, we got Anton Turkalj. We talked about him a little bit. If he can survive this first round, I actually think he has one of the highest ceilings on the slate. This is a guy in Turkalj who can wrestle and wrestle a ton. I remember on the Contender Series, Turkalj came out there and got like 10 takedowns in the entire fight. It was ridiculous. His cardio held up. His wrestling held up for 15 minutes, and he's going to absolutely have the cardio advantage in this matchup. You know, every time Pedro reaches the second round, he seems to fall off a cliff. So, yeah, as long as Turkalj's, durability holds up, which has shown to hold up thus far, this guy can absolutely take a shot. I think he starts to take over as this fight goes on and puts up a big score with a late finish or a decision win here. Then we got Justin Toff at 9,000. We also talked about him. First round knockout upside, Austin Lane, 3 knockout losses, all 3 of those coming in the first round. I don't like the striking defense of Austin Lane. He's very, very hittable, and I don't think his chin's that great as well. And Justin Taffa is at home. He hits like a truck. I think Justin Taffa is very live to finish his fight in the first round, and like we talked about, this fight is actually favored like minus 150 to end in the first round as well. So I think it's a great fight to target, but I do like the Taffa side more than anything. And then we got Shane Young, 8,600. I think this is going to be a sneakier fight to target. It's earlier in the card. I think it's the second or third fight. We got Shane Young, 8,600. Striker versus grappler matchup, taking on Gabriel Miranda, who has a 100% finish rate. Miranda is going to be at a big striking disadvantage here. I think the striking is all in favor of Shane Young in this matchup. You know, I don't like the striking defense of Gabriel Miranda. We've seen him knocked out. We've seen him knocked down a ton, not only in this Benoit Saint Denis fight, but even outside of that fight, we see him get knocked out on the regional scene by lower level guys. So, yeah, I don't mind Shane Young here, 8,600. For some late knockout upside, but he's going to have to absolutely weather a storm here in that first round. Moving on to our GPP plays here. Tournament plays, Manel Kopp, 9,300. Really like Kopp in this matchup, taking on Felipe Dos Santos, who is a newcomer. Felipe Dos Santos was supposed to fight on the second or third week of the Contender Series, and he's just taken like an astronomical step up in competition here to Manel Kopp, who is a top 10 guy, and I think he's going to be a top 5 guy in the very near future. Manel Kopp has taken an astronomical step down in competition, making his debut against Alexander Pantoja, the champ, being competitive in that fight, being very competitive in the fight with Mateus Nicolau as well, who is another high-level flyweight. Felipe Dos Santos has a lot to prove. He's only 22 years old. I think it's just way too much, way too soon for Felipe Dos Santos, and Santos leaves a lot of openings to be hit. He can be taken down, so I think Kopp has some finishing upside here as well. So 9,300, it's expensive, but I think he's one of the better plays on the slate this week for some serious upside. Tyson Pedro, 8K, we talked about him. First round upside for Tyson Pedro. If you play Tyson Pedro and it gets to the second round, he's probably done, but that's not why you're playing him. You're playing him for that first round bonus, and he's going to go for it. This guy, Pedro, he hits very hard. He's a very good grappler as well. He's going to have plenty of opportunities to finish Turkalj, but if he does not finish Turkalj in the first 5 minutes, I have serious concerns about him. But he has a ton of upside, though. So I will be playing Pedro, but slight lean to Turkalj there. And then Alexander Volkov, another fight we talked about, 8,800 for Volkov. He's going to have a size advantage, a volume advantage. He's going to be the minute winner here, and I think he does have some late finish upside as well. I like the teep kicks to the body. I feel like he could hurt Tai Tuivasa to the body here, and I guess I'm starting to worry a little bit about the durability of Tai Tuivasa. Tai Tuivasa got knocked out and hurt a ton against Cyril Gane, and then he also got knocked out by Pavlovich, but really no shame in that. I don't think Volkov hits anywhere near as hard as Sergey Pavlovich. But yeah, I don't mind some Alexander Volkov, but I do like Tai Tuivasa a lot more at the price tag, though. And then Charlie Radtke, 9,100 for Radtke here. Yeah, it all comes down to if he grapples. If he grapples, he's going to pay off this price tag and more. He probably submits Blood Diamond and could probably do it in the first round. Charlie Radtke's grappling is very good. I think he's going to have a significant advantage when the fight hits the mat. The problem with Radtke is he doesn't really go for as many takedowns as you'd like to see, but you got to think if you're Radtke, the game plan is going to be getting the fight down to the mat, and if he does, I think he makes it look like super easy. Probably a first round bonus, submission in the first round. So we'll see the game plan of Racky, but if he fights smart and gets it down to the mat, he's subbing Blood Diamond pretty easily, you got to think. All right, moving on to the Underdog Fantasy Play of the Week. If you guys have not checked out Underdog already, be sure to do so. And be sure to use promo code DFSBTN. Get yourself a 100% deposit bonus. Helps me, helps you. Last week we hit the Volkan Oezdemir, more than 0.5 finishes. And this week we're going to try to hit the Justin Tafa lower on the 4.5 minutes fight time. This fight is favored to end inside the first round. I think this fight does end inside the first round. Austin Lane's been knocked out 3 times, all in the first round, and I think Justin Tafa is going to close the distance, land a big shot, and finish Austin Lane in the first round there. But like I said, it's heavyweight, so if Austin Lane was to land a big shot and finish Justin Tafa, it hits as well. So give me the lower on the 4.5 minutes fight time for Justin Tafa there. If you want to check it out, use that promo code DFSBTN, Underdog Fantasy. All right, moving on to the live dogs. It's a card like last week where there's a lot of favorites that are going to come through. I think last week the only underdog on DraftKings was Cornhole, who ended up winning the fight, but she actually lost the fight. But yeah, and there was actually a loser on the optimal lineup, and it was Angelusa, the Reese McKee. Reese McKee's stack was actually optimal last week. So yeah, this is kind of the same week where there's not a ton of dogs that stick out, but there are some dogs with some serious upside, and Tai Tuivasa is the one that just jumps off the page. I think Tai Tuivasa is probably going to be the first or second highest owned underdog on the slate. This is a guy that's finished like 14 wins by knockout. It's ridiculous. This guy has a ton of power. He's fighting at home. He's going to fight for your money. It's a tough matchup. It really is, but he has a puncher's chance, and at heavyweight, that's all you really need. So I like Tai Tuivasa at this price tag especially. Gabriel Miranda, 7,600. Another underdog I think is going to be pretty popular. Miranda's a guy with a 100% finish rate that cannot be ignored. Miranda's a guy that has finished all 16 wins under 1.5 rounds. Another guy that is going to fight for your money. Another guy that is going to fight for that first round finish. I personally don't think he's that great, but he is dangerous, and if he does get the fight down to the mat, especially early on, it is going to get interesting. John McDessie, 7,300. Don't mind McDessie. McDessie, very high volume, lands 5.52 significant strikes per minute. He's going to be coming forward the entire time. There are question marks on the durability of Jamie Mullarkey. We've seen Jamie Mullarkey get knocked down, hurt, knocked out as well. McDessie's super tough. He's going to be there for 15 minutes. And like I said, I think at the very least, this fight is probably going to go 15 minutes, and McDessie can put up a solid floor here. And then Austin Lane, 7,200. Heavyweight fight. If I'm being honest, it's a low-level heavyweight fight. Justin Tafa, I don't think he's that amazing. I mean, if you lose to Jared Vandera, that really says a lot. So, yeah, Austin Lane, do I like him to win this fight? No, but, at this price tag, if he is able to pull this off, it's probably a finish within the first round and a half, and he's probably going to score very well. So, yeah, I don't mind Austin Lane in terms of a pretty cheap live dog here. Moving on to the pump plays, I got Sean Strickland down here, 6,500. This is like strictly a cash play for me, though. Maybe in some tournaments, I do have, I think, around like 20% ownership of Sean Strickland for tournaments, but I like it more for cash, because in cash games, Sean Strickland, he's tough. He's going to throw a lot of volume. I think this fight gets extended, if not goes the distance. I know a lot of people are picking Izzy to finish Sean Strickland. I could see it, but I think if it happens, it's potentially late here. And if you play Sean Strickland at 6,500, you can build any lineup you want. And in cash this week, I want to go up and get Manel Kopp. I want to go up and get Carlos Ulberg. I want to go up and get Justin Tafa. There's a lot of, expensive plays that I like this week. And if you get Sean Strickland in your lineup, I think it gives you a solid floor. I'm not saying he wins, but I think it gives you a solid floor, and it allows you to go up and get some of those higher priced guys this week. So I like Sean Strickland more so from a cash perspective. From a tournament perspective, not as much, but if it's like last week where none of these underdogs come through and Sean Strickland loses but puts up a solid effort and puts up 40-50 DraftKings points in a loss, maybe that could be optimal there. We'll have to see, but yeah, don't mind Sean Strickland as a pump play. And then on the flip side, fade is Israel Adesanya. I mean, I hope people play this guy. Israel Adesanya is a guy that I typically fade a lot. on DraftKings, he just doesn't score good, and he's always really high price in the 9K range. This week, he's like in Bo Nickel territory here at 9,700, which is ridiculous. He's not going to wrestle. And if he's going to, pay off this price tag, it's going to be like a 60-second finish or a finish in the first round. And I'm just not sure that happens. Izzy's not really a very high volume guy either. So I'm just not sure how he even comes close to paying off this price tag. So yeah, going to be fading Israel Adesanya. And I hope he's somewhat alone. I hope he's somewhat high owned this week, because I will have none of them this week. But, yep, guys, there you have it. Thank you all so much for watching. If you guys could leave a like on your way out, subscribe to the channel. If you guys want more content, check out dfsbythenumbers.com. All the content is already out. Got ahead this week. We got the targets, projections, ownership projections, the optimizers ready to go. Got prize picks on there as well. We have the DFS article was released yesterday. So yeah, everything's out, ready to go for UFC 293, all ready for the card. I think it's going to be a solid one. And yeah, guys, best of luck for UFC 293. It should be a good card. Enjoy it. We'll talk to you soon. See you later.